This is a personal story that, again, and this really, at the time, this really hurt. And I haven't told this story very much. I don't even think that my crew has heard it. But I was probably about maybe 5 or 6 months in. And my clinical practice was autoimmune lung disease. I did interstitial lung disease, IPF. And it was a 71-year-old white female that came to see me in clinic one day. And she came to see me. I looked at her record. I looked at her CT scan. Her CT scan showed increased interstitial findings. She had a little bit of what we call fibrotic bronchiectasis. She had some UIP type findings on her CAT scan, and she had been told she had interstitial lung disease. She didn't know what it was from. She didn't know what to do. So she came in, we talked, did her labs. She had an antibody that was positive for scleroderma, so it was scleroderma lung. I mean, that was her diagnosis. And I was going to put her on a product called nintedanib or Ofev, which is indicated for scleroderma lung. It's an antifibrotic, we call them. And I had this plan, whatever, told her the plan. She looks up at me. My clinic's in Newport Beach, California. She looks up at me and she says, "This is your clinic?" And I said, "This is my clinic." Rutland Medical Group, yes. She looks me dead in my face, in my eye, and she says, "Well, how did you get the money?" And I was like, "What do you mean, how did I get the money?" She's like, "Well, you're black. Black people don't have any money." And I was like,
wow.
I got it. Like, we're good. Like, everything's fine. You have scleroderma lung. This is what we're going to do. We walk out, and my wife is working, and I had a medical assistant at the time who was working who was of Hispanic descent. And then she sees my wife's last name on her jacket, and she says, and you're his wife? But you're white, and he's black. Why would you marry him? This is in my clinic.
I'm sorry, how old was she?
71.
Okay.
This is in my clinic, right? And so my wife is very nice and just kind of like brushes over it. And then she looks at my assistant and she's like, "Do you speak English?" Or it's something along the it was like
just kept getting worse.
Oh my God. It was like a run of things. And I was just like, oh my God. Like, and there's, again, as a guy who doesn't look like other pulmonologists in the area, there's always that undertone. It's always there, right? And so, and I know that. I was taught that a long time ago from my grandparents, that you just have to understand this. Like, it's going to be like this. You have to deal with it. It's just the way it is. Like, it doesn't matter how mad you get or how angry you get. It's going to be that way. And it is, which is fine. And it does have an effect on, at least superficially, right away. Like, it can. And in situations like that, it's really bad. But you have to be able to absorb a lot of that. And I don't know if you have gone through it or not, but you have to be able to absorb a lot of that and like continue to move forward in an area of the country where there's not a whole lot of people that look like you in the position that you're in and doing what you're doing. But this is the part about putting yourself out there that can be difficult and you have to deal with.
Geez, I'm sorry. I don't know if I should say sorry, but that's so unfortunate. But also, I have a question for you. Do you take that as motivation in, mentoring others to get into medicine, who are African American? Is that also one of your passions?
Yeah. I mean,
it's kind of change that trajectory.
Yeah. I mean, I take it as motivation in several ways. One is I got to make sure that I'm educating people that look like me to get in those positions. The other is I got to be so much better at educating than the person that doesn't look like me, that there's got to be a distinct difference between what I'm doing and what they're doing. And it can't be close. Like, I have to be so good at it and understand it so well and explain it so much better. Because
that's unfair, though. But
I mean, is it unfair? I mean, honestly, when you go through the motions of doing that, right? And like earlier, they were like, "Wait, you got here at 4:30?" It's just like, that is just what you have to do. And it's something my grandfather told me. He just told me, he was like, listen, you're going to have to work 20 times harder. He's like, you just are. It doesn't matter. For the same thing, you're just going to have to do that. And, you know, when you become a physician, and you know this, when you become a physician and you move up those, whatever, healthcare ranks or the totem pole or whatever, like, you start to realize that there's already less people like you because there's few. But then when you're a minority, like, there's even less.
Yeah.
And you have to get used to being in that kind of room and then just continuing to move forward and grabbing other people and picking them up and bringing them there. Yeah. And you have to be careful, because if I were to stand on this table right here and you were to try to pull me down, it's really easy. Like, you can pull me down. If I were to stand on this table and I were trying to lift you up, that takes a lot of effort to get you up there. Yeah. But that's what you have to do. You cannot allow people to pull you down, right? You have to stay up there and lift those people up, right? And that's everything that I thought about in that situation when that lady said what she said to me. I was just like, she knows I'm here. She knows what I did for her. She knows I did something that nobody else had done. And I got to live with that.
And still, that was the only thing she was focused on. But
I mean, it's just the way it is, though. But that's, you know, that's the way business can be. That's the way medicine can be.
I mean, obviously, as a woman, same thing, right? It's, can't hide that fact, right? And then I'm not white. I'm Middle Eastern, Arabic. And I think sometimes people just don't really know what I am. And so I get those questions sometimes.